There's the ding. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, James.
What are we? Who are we?
We are Leftist Lens. It's February 2nd that we're recording this. We are 2 weeks into the Trump presidency. It's Black History Month, unless you're in the Department of Defense.
Well, hold on, because I work for said agency, and we had all sorts of stuff popping up about, hey, it's Black History Month and emails and everything. But Trump hijacked it. He issued a declaration that February is National Black History Month and put his name all over it.
Yes, he did do that.
The fuck? Fucking idiot.
But anyway, a lot of stuff has happened. There's a song that's going viral on TikTok. I don't know if you've heard it. There's a lot going on. If you heard that one, the 7-year-old wrote it and sings it.
No.
She just says there's a lot going on over and over again, and then says, and I don't know what to do is the second verse. That's how we all feel. We're not going to be able to cover everything. So we're going to cover the important stuff. I do want you to listen to the end. The most important thing we're going to cover is the last thing we're going to cover, okay? So stay to the end or skip to the end. But the first thing we're going to talk about, there was a plane crash. Well, there have been a couple plane crashes this week, but there was a commercial airline crash in Washington, D.C. And it's the first commercial air crash in the United States since 2009, which I was actually kind of surprised by that.
I was too when I saw that in the outline. I didn't think it had been that long.
Yeah. I mean, I have several other commercial airline crashes in the United States in my memory, and I guess we're old. They must have happened before 2009. But anyway, 67 people died, 60 passengers on the plane, 4 crew, and 3 soldiers on a Black Hawk helicopter because there was a midair collision. You probably know all about that. Trump immediately decided that it was DEI that caused that crash with no evidence whatsoever. Although this is disgusting to me because we later found out that one of the pilots on the helicopter was a female, and her family did not want to release her name for several days. We didn't know who the third person on the helicopter was because the Department of Defense wasn't releasing it, and then they did eventually. And I couldn't imagine being that family, hearing the president essentially blame your now deceased daughter for an accident. That's insane to me. And he did it when he didn't know anything.
Because he has common sense.
Yes. And unfortunately, too many people don't, he says. All right. We don't know exactly what happened, but I did see on YouTube a great breakdown by Captain Steeeve. And that's how he says it. He's got too many E's in his name. But he's an airline pilot. And he did a great video. It's going to be linked below, right? You copy and paste the thing into the video, right? So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's linked below. But Captain Steeeve broke it down, and to me it's clear that it was an accident. I think there's lots of things that could have gone differently, but basically what you hear the air traffic control ask the helicopter if they see the CRJ being the plane that they would eventually crash into. And the pilot, not the female pilot, by the way, it was a male voice, says, yep, I see them, request visual flight rules. According to Captain Steeeve, that means that the air traffic control just leave the helicopter alone, and it's up to the helicopter to avoid the plane. I see the plane, let me avoid it, don't worry about us. Well, as the helicopter got closer to the plane, air traffic control asked him again, are you sure you see the CRJ? And the pilot again of the helicopter says, yes, I see them. Request visual flight rules. Now, Captain Steeeve had the radar of the planes coming in, and it was clear there was a plane also right in front of the helicopter that was not the CRJ they crashed into, that pilot was probably looking at.
Yep.
And thinking that's the plane I have to avoid, and they never saw the one that they hit. Obviously, they never saw the one that was hit. If they did, they wouldn't have crashed into it. So there was a different plane right in front of them. That's the one they saw. It's a terrible tragedy. It was not intentional. I've seen so many people say how it's obvious it was intentional. How is it obvious it was intentional?
There's always going to be people that are speaking about things they have no idea what they're fucking talking about. Eve, I saw one person talking about just to even try to stage something like this would be astronomically difficult. It would be almost impossible to do, to try to line up two aircraft to be able to collide like this, when it's fucking ridiculous, and people need to shut the fuck up and let the investigations run their course.
Right. So anyway, terrible tragedy. Hope that doesn't happen again. All right. In other news, this just happened last night.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on. Let's go back to air crashes, because there was the medevac plane carrying the child that just returned from life-saving treatment that plunged into the ground in your state.
True. Yeah.
Okay,
well, Captain Steeeve did a video on that one too. So I watched that one, and with that one, that one crashed immediately after takeoff. And again, we don't know what happened yet. We will eventually. But according to Captain Steeeve, he was fairly certain that the plane lost lift somehow. An engine failure, or the two things that he said might have happened is an engine failure, or there might have been a weight shift to the rear that caused the nose to pitch up. But either way, from the video where the plane went straight into the ground.
Oh my God.
He said a pilot can't do that. Like, even if you push the stick all the way forward, it won't get that steep of an angle.
Yeah.
The only way that happens is if one of the wings lost lift, and then the plane just rolls over and drops out of the sky. So that was what he thinks happened. You hear the plane take off, and the air traffic control passes them over to the next air traffic controller, the Philadelphia General Air Traffic Control, and the plane never responds because they crashed. They had already crashed. And their two air traffic controls keep trying to reach them, but they're already on the ground, and they don't respond. So that's what he thinks happened. We'll know more about that, why that happened, but there wasn't I don't know. There's no one really to blame at this point in that one.
Yeah, it's just a tragedy.
It is.
All right, so tariffs are happening.
So yesterday, yesterday being February 1st, Trump decided to sign the executive order instituting a 25% tariff on Canada, 25% tariff on Mexico. Oh, in Canada, oil and stuff only gets 10%, and a 10% tariff on China. All of these tariffs go into effect on Tuesday. They're not in effect today, but they go into effect on Tuesday. Canada has responded with a 25% tariff on American goods. The governor, I guess they call them governors. What do they call the provincial leaders? Whatever. The leader of British Columbia, Western Canada, he separately banned the import of alcohol from red states. That's specifically what he said. So I don't know what that means. The only thing I think of is Jack Daniels. They're probably not going to have that in British Columbia for the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. But that's what trade wars are like. It just screws everybody over. And this is what Trump is doing. He's screwing us all. And Trump's premise is fentanyl. Right. Oh, and I can tell you the one good that may flow in from Canada and Mexico that won't have any tariffs on it is fentanyl. Yeah. The blatant manipulation of information around this is it's fucking shocking, because this is a trade war that Trump started on false pretense. He's going to use this to escalate things to get to other things that he's implied about Canada. Mm-hmm. In Canada in particular. Mexico, I don't know what his
long game is with that. But he's going to. This is just a leverage point to do far worse to Canada, and I 110% all the way stand with Canada on this, with Mexico on this, and fucking with China on this. And Canada's response, I watched Trudeau speaking about that live last night. And he needs to stop couching his words. He can separate the American people from the American administration and call Donald Trump what he is.
Especially since he's already resigned. He's got no political.
Yeah, he's got nothing to
future.
lose, right? He's got nothing to lose. But
yeah, say what you want.
he was dancing around it so hard, but did finally announce the matching tariffs. They need to not back down. Under no circumstances should China nor Mexico back down on this, and they should escalate it even further. I've seen rumors of 100% tariff on Tesla items. I think they should just ban Tesla from doing trade in their fucking country.
Yeah, I think I saw Germany is considering banning Tesla also.
Yeah, because of the Nazi symbolism that is
right.
Is a brand now. It is a brand for Musk's products.
Swastikars. Yep. So, I don't know. We're just going to go over all the ways that Donald Trump is ruining your life. We're going to continue. Another thing he did that is probably not legal. He sent an offer to all federal employees to resign. There was a deadline on it. I don't remember when it was. It's coming up, though. Resign by February 6th or 7th, somewhere in there.
It's just next week, yeah.
And if you do that, we'll pay you through September, whether you show up to work or not. That's what he said. I do not have any information on if any workers have taken that offer, but it is likely that Trump cannot actually make good on that. He can't make it so that they get paid through September. So if you are a federal employee and you choose to take up this offer, you should be prepared to not go paid from the day you stop showing up to work on.
Even if he could follow through with that, he wouldn't. How many fucking people in his life has he stiffed that he has owed money to? You're a fucking idiot if you are on board with this and you buy into it and participate in it. You're an idiot and you deserve whatever suffering comes your way.
Right.
No pity for you.
He specifically sent a letter to all the air traffic controllers and told them to go find work in the civilian sector. I don't know. What's his plan for that? I don't know.
Civilian air traffic controllers.
I guess. They were civilians until they wanted better working conditions and Reagan nationalized them.
Well, to be clear, Reagan fired them.
Well, true.
when they threatened to go on strike.
True.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that. I was a child. I remember that.
Yeah. All right. Now this should frighten you because we already know the checks and balances are thin on Trump's second term in office, but he has also decided to fire all the Department of Justice officials and all the FBI officials that were involved in investigating January 6th or investigating him for anything. If you investigated Trump or one of his friends, you got fired this week.
And further than that, I have seen reports that his people that he's putting in place are deleting all records related to the January 6th investigations.
Yep.
This is the coup. This is the fucking coup.
Yep.
It's happening right in front of us. Congress is either complicit with it or they are impotent to do anything about it, or they lack the will to do anything about it. The Supreme Court is irrelevant until something comes before them. They can't do anything. There's only one other component of the government that could do something about this that has yet to speak up and raise alarm bells about the spectrum of things that are going on. And it is the only component of our government that could bring a stop to this. And we are waiting to see whether they are going to participate as an active player.
You talking about the military?
I am.
Yep.
Waiting to see if they're going to participate as an active player in this dismantling of the Constitution, or if they are going to stand and defend the fucking Constitution, which has been removed from the government website, which is being negated through executive orders. We're waiting. We're fucking waiting.
Yeah. Other things he's done after he released all the violent offenders from January 6th, they took the security details away from people that were in his first administration that he didn't like. General Mark Milley lost his security detail. John Bolton, who worked for Trump, but then I guess later didn't suck his dick hard enough, lost his security detail too. That puts them at risk, and that's intentional.
Fauci.
Yeah, Fauci lost his security detail too. Right.
Liz Cheney too.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Did she have a security detail? I don't know.
Well,
she's at risk for sure. Her and everybody that was on the J6 committee is at risk. I don't know. Violence is going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, is it though?
Yeah, it is. It'll either happen against us, or it'll be against, like, Mark. Somebody might take out Mark Milley. I could see that happening. All these people that Trump vilifies, and the fact that a lot of his supporters are violent, something's going to happen. It's only a matter of time.
I don't have concerns about violence being perpetrated against the people that are being disenfranchised through this administration. I have concerns about the people that are being disenfranchised through this administration not committing violence. There is a mantra that exists, and I cannot refute the validity of this mantra, but the only acceptable response to fascism is violence. Some people agree with that, but my greatest fear is that we will just lay down and die for this. That there will never be a resistance. There will never be an uprising. And yes, there are things that we can do that come as precursors to the necessity of that. One of those things is a national strike. When I was watching Trudeau respond to the trade war last night, my first thought was every industry in this country that is now negatively impacted by this unwarranted trade war needs to strike. Just shut down immediately.
They do. The big trade unions need to get together and organize this. They should be doing that already. This should already be happening.
And it's not. And that's
right.
This is where the additional layers of concern and hopelessness come from, is the fact that this is all happening in real time. And there's people that are talking about the shock and awe strategy that's being used by this administration to just in rapid fire succession dismantle as much of the foundation of our daily lives as possible. And they're doing it so quickly. It's only been fucking 12 days.
Crazy, right?
And the degree to which the wreckage has happened over every square inch of this fucking country, not just fucking, I fucking hate these derogatory terms, the lib states. It's everybody's negatively impacted by this. This is a point that I made yesterday, that you could point your finger in any direction and you're going to be pointing toward people or a group of people that are harmed by all the shit that's going on with this government. I'm waiting for the breaking point. I'm waiting for that tipping point when we finally do something.
Protesting ain't gonna help.
No, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
I know there's a protest scheduled for this week at all the state capitals. That ain't gonna do anything.
No. When are we going to wake up to this? When are we going to realize this? The only time that significant policy change and significant behavior change of the government has ever happened has been in the face of violence. Has been when they're confronted with a violent reaction from the people that they're trying to suppress and oppress. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen that since the fucking 60s. And it's amazing to me. And we're still, and we can turn on the international news today and you'll see protesters in other countries using fucking explosives against
Georgia,
the police.
Serbia.
Yeah. And the fucking, this is a constant thing over in France when the government does something that breaks the backs of the farmers. The fucking parliament is covered in fresh manure.
Mm-hmm.
And the police are getting run over by fucking farm implements and tractors in the fucking streets.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't taken the hint yet because they have effectively placated us with shiny things and bells and whistles and stimulus checks and indoctrinated half the population to think that the other half of the population is the real enemy. The drag queen story hours and it's fucking this we are so fucking lost as a nation and we are so fucking lost as a culture, and it's amazing to me how fucking broken we are. It's not as amazing to me to witness how the government is crumbling under the foot of a reality show host. But it is more amazing to me the fact that we witness all these things happening in other countries and the way that people rise up against it, and we're talking on a podcast. Fucking
yeah,
it's depressing.
It is. You mentioned the national strike and how that's something that should be happening. I 100% believe that should be happening already.
Mm-hmm.
But along those lines, Trump has gutted the NLRB, neutered it. The NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, that is the government wing that enforces labor laws, basically. Like when Amazon tries to prevent their workers from organizing, the National Labor Relations Board steps in and makes sure Amazon isn't breaking any laws when they're trying to prevent unions from forming in their facilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Trump fired one of the Democrats on the board. It's a 5-member board. 2 of the other seats are vacant. He also fired their general counsel, who is the person who files the lawsuits to enforce their decisions and stuff. So they don't have a quorum to make any decisions, and they don't have their prosecutor to file the lawsuits. It essentially doesn't exist. And this is at a time when there are also several lawsuits, one of them by Amazon, that are working their way up to the Supreme Court that are trying to declare the NLRB unconstitutional. We've talked about this before. So those haven't gotten to the Supreme Court yet, but they will probably this upcoming session. And we may lose the right to organize completely. So think about that. If you're the head of the Teamsters or the AFL-CIO right now, you're about to lose your right to organize completely. You might want to do something about that.
Yeah, I mean, you said we might. I think that we definitely will. I don't think there's any question about this. The path that this administration is going on is not going to be abated. It's not going to change direction. Take account of all the awful shit that's come out of this administration in the past 12 days and realize when you wake up tomorrow, whatever happens is going to be exponentially worse than what happened the day before. That is the pattern. The pattern is going to continue. And these are the things that are being dismantled and taken apart in front of you. And it's going to get worse every day. He is not going to change his behavior. He is not going to concede that he's breaking the backs of the average American in this. He's never going to change his behavior. It's not that there's some hope that he's going in the next 2 to 3 years, he's going to wake up one day and say, I've made a terrible mistake. He's not going to do that. There's oh my God. Am I wrong? The train is
on the tracks and it won't be stopped. You're right.
Yeah. Well, it can be stopped, but there's really only one way that it's going to be stopped. And I'm not going to talk about that.
Good. All right. Now, the scariest thing that happened this weekend to me is Elon Musk and a cadre of engineers that he brought from Twitter or SpaceX. I don't know where they came from. Was given access to the federal personnel data system, and even more scary, to the Treasury payment system. We don't know why the fuck that happened. It's scary, the things that can be done with that stuff, though.
And there are very few people that, well, I don't say very few, but he's one of a number of people that there's no reason we should be trusting him with anything.
No. He's unelected. He's not a member of the government. He's not an employee of the government. Why the fuck was he given access to that stuff in the first place?
He's a foreign asset.
Yeah. But he's a government contractor. He gets millions of dollars in government contracts. What can he do in the Treasury payment system? That is where he gets his payments for SpaceX from, right? Mm-hmm. They come through the Treasury payment system. So do payments to Boeing, his biggest competitor. Could he shut off the payments to Boeing so that he doesn't have a competitor anymore? He could.
Absolutely.
There's also a thing called a debarment list, and that's a list of contractors who have lost their right to do business with the government. Does he have friends on there that he wants to take off? He could do that. Does he have competitors on there that he would like to put on? He can do that. Why the fuck was he given access? I don't understand. And when the Trump administration was asked about it, they said, well, it's only read-only access. First of all, I don't believe that for a second. But why would he even need that? Also, he wasn't given access at first. They had to fire people at the Treasury Department until somebody agreed to give him access. That's how that went down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This brings to mind a comment I made earlier about there only being one aspect of the system of government that could do something to stop this. There is another aspect of our civil processes that could have a great impact on this, and it is the press. But I think we have all, because I haven't seen anybody significant in the press talking about this, about the Treasury issue and Musk.
I've seen it on none of the mainstream media. There's Reuters articles about it.
Yeah, I mean, God damn it, I hate even mentioning these agencies or these people like Midas Touch. I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all because I've seen posts from them in the past 24 hours excitedly talking about the fact that the DNC has elected a new chair. Like the level of tone deafness to what is actually happening that actually matters to people like you and me and should matter to everyone else coming from these talking heads is just, it's nauseating. And the fact that the press is basically complicit with Trump and everything that he's doing. They are a wing of his, they are the propaganda wing for him and this coup. Not a single one of them is calling these events out for what they actually are and calling
I get it. It's hard to believe. It's hard to look at that stuff and believe that this is actually happening, but it is.
You don't have to believe it. You're witnessing
happening.
it. You're watching it happen in real fucking time. We aren't making this shit up.
No. Speaking of the DNC hiring a new chairman, in his acceptance speech, he talked about how there are good billionaires. No, the fuck there aren't. No, there isn't.
It's impossible to be.
Billionaires should not exist. There are no good billionaires. But having any excitement about the Democratic Party is folly, because the Democratic Party could have stopped this in the 4 years that Biden was president. They had plenty of time to put Trump in prison. For example, let's look at this. Korea. We talked a few weeks ago about Korea and how their president declared martial law and then got impeached, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's already been indicted.
Mm-hmm.
In less than 2 months, he's been indicted. He's going to go on trial. He's going to get convicted. He's going to go to jail. The Democrats had 4 years to do that to Trump.
Fuck Merrick Garland. Fuck Jack Smith for dragging their feet. They are to me the key players into an absolutely crucial component of why we are where we are today. They dragged their fucking feet on this. This should have been every indictment, every charge should have been a slam dunk, in and out, done and gone, dusted and done. And they dragged their fucking feet all the way through because, we've got to be careful. This is unprecedented. We need to do everything so carefully. Well, congratulations. Here the fuck we are.
Mm-hmm. Right. So Democrats already dropped the ball. They are why we are here. Not to mention the fact that they knew they were going to lose. They knew they were going to lose if they didn't embrace change in regards to their Gaza policy, and they chose not to do it anyway.
Yeah, Harris's advisory team knew months and months before the election. There were memos that circulated internally said she doesn't have a chance. We're not going to win. Mm-hmm. They fucking knew this.
Yep. So
no, as I said yesterday,
save us now. They can't.
No, as I said yesterday, there is no political party that is coming to save us.
Nope.
There is. This is how I'm projecting ahead a couple of years, and based on the last couple of weeks, the condition we're going to be in a couple of years is disturbing. But what the midterms are going to look like, what voter turnout is going to look like, what systems that govern the processes of elections are going to be so broken by then that participating in the midterm elections, and even under perfect circumstances, that there's nothing impeding the actual process of the midterm elections. The fact remains is that there isn't a political party that exists that's coming to save us. If we don't save ourselves in this and dissociate ourselves from these political allegiances and these party lines and come together as the people who are sitting in their homes in this country that are being immediately and irreparably and just pummeled with this shit. If we don't come together based on that and break these fucking political bonds, it's the only way that we're going to move forward. And there's something maybe coming out the other end of this that actually benefits the common person. This is we are at such a fucking moment that if we squander this, it's done. We won't get another chance. If the systems right now that are seeking to undo the systems that we rely on succeeds, there's no putting it back. There's nothing good.
100% right, James.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Right. We didn't even talk about the mass deportations that are happening. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, there was a I think you sent it to me or I sent it to you. No, you did. Syracuse. Wasn't it Syracuse?
Syracuse, yeah.
Okay, but talk about what that was, and then I'll tell you what my concern is.
I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I live in Erie, Pennsylvania now, but I grew up in Syracuse, New York. And so I still follow the local news in Syracuse because that's my home, right? And the Syracuse newspaper, the Herald Journal, they had an article that said Onondaga County, which is the county that Syracuse is in, Onondaga County Sheriff says the Sheriff's Department will not cooperate with ICE.
So then what happens to those people? That's my question, because well,
here's the thing, because I attended an ACLU put on a Know Your Rights seminar, I guess, on Thursday night, I think it was.
Locally for you?
Huh?
Locally?
No, it was online.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you a link. You can watch it still. And when ICE comes and knocks on your door and they have a deportation warrant, they are not allowed to enter your house. If you don't open the door for them, they can't come get you.
Now, but
police can. So if the police won't cooperate with ICE, that means they're not coming in your house to get you. So if you stay in your house and you open the door, you won't get deported.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that in most of these cases, ICE isn't coming alone; they're coming with local police.
Right.
But the declaration by the Syracuse law enforcement was not that they. What I read that as was ICE is going to be arresting people and then handing them off to the local police to detain. That they aren't going to participate in detaining. So my question then was, where are these people going to go from there? But if ICE doesn't even have the power to detain, apprehend people without the assistance and support of local law enforcement, then
they can. They just can't go in your house. ICE can't go in your house. The warrants that ICE gets, deportation warrants, don't have the force that an arrest warrant has or a search warrant has, where the police can just come in your house.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's what the police help the ICE agents with. They'll get a judge-signed warrant to enter your house, and then they'll bring you out and hand you off to ICE. But in Onondaga County, the Sheriff's Department won't be doing that.
Okay, so that paints a very different picture for me of what that declaration then was. I
saw another video of another sheriff somewhere, and I don't know where it was, but I'm assuming it was a border state. I saw it right before we recording this, but it was a cop talking to a group of Mexicans, telling them, "Don't be afraid to call us if you need us. Mm-hmm. I don't want bad guys to take advantage of you because you're afraid to call the police because you think you're going to get deported. That won't happen.
Yeah.
If something happens and you need us, you call us." So I'm thinking that police department's also not going to cooperate with ICE.
Seems that way, yeah.
And I told you when I went to a city council meeting last month, somebody stood up and asked the mayor to ensure that our local police don't cooperate with ICE. So I don't know if anything like that has been happening. But so that's good. There is some resistance on a local level.
Yeah. Next.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. I do want to talk about Creature Commandos, though. I like that show. I watched all 7 or 8 episodes, however many there were. I can't wait for season 2. I do have a favorite character, and it's G.I. Robot. G.I. Robot has one function in life, and that's to kill Nazis. And he does it so well. And yes, G.I. Robot, I do want to kill Nazis with you.
It's a good. I didn't even realize it was a DC character.
Yeah, it's part of the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Saga.
Here's the red flag that got raised for me about it. You're aware of who Neil Gaiman is, right?
Yeah.
You're aware of the scandal surrounding Neil Gaiman in the past 6 months?
No.
He's been ritually sexually abusing young girls, and it's been going on for decades, apparently.
Okay.
Neil Gaiman's wife, I can't remember her name, but she is the lead vocalist and lyricist for the Dresden Dolls, and their song is part of the Coin Operated Boy song, is part of the G.I. Robot mythology. Now, do I know that what's his name, Gunn, who directed this? What's his first name? James Gunn. Do I think that he has some affiliation with, because first of all, Neil Gaiman's wife was complicit in all this shit, the shit that Neil Gaiman has done.
Well, James Gunn had an accusation. He was doing Marvel movies, and then he had an accusation, and Marvel fired him.
What was the accusation?
I don't remember specifically, but anyway, he was exonerated.
So
I think that was him. I might be making that up.
No, I remember the break in association from the Marvel franchise with Gunn, because that came through Guardians of the Galaxy, because they broke ties with him, but then they brought him back or something.
Yeah.
So now I'm fully willing to accept that G.I. Robot was not created by James Gunn. It existed. The character.
Yeah, he's a comic book character.
Okay, so it predates all of this.
Yes.
I discourage people from using the Dresden Dolls song, no matter how catchy it is and how clever the song is and how it fits perfectly with that character. Using it in memes and videos. Don't use the Dresden Dolls song, because it's got too close of an association with Neil Gaiman, who is an abhorrent, disgusting human being. Dissociate yourself from that. But do the thing to Nazis. Do all the things to Nazis.
Do you want to tell us about Stumptown? I looked into it. I noticed it got renewed for a season 2.
No, it didn't.
Well, it did, but then COVID happened and they reneged on it. So there never was a season 2. Does it end well? Is it worth watching?
No, because it needs the ending and the finale, the 18th episode. There were 18 episodes in that season. I remarked to you last night, I haven't seen too many shows that had that many episodes in a season. But then I remember the Clone Wars. Clone Wars had like 42 episodes in a fucking season. But no, it ends very much tying directly into what should have been season 2. It was good. I loved the characters. The characters developed very well. The story I didn't have any second thoughts about this is ridiculous or anything like that. It all worked really well, and I liked the characters. I thought the character arc for every character in the series was really good, but I'm disappointed. And so that was at least 3 years ago that there should have been a season 2, because if COVID interfered with it, that was like 2022,
Yeah.
right? Or 2020.
2021. Yeah, it's 2020 is when it started. I think they took back the season 2 in 2021. I don't know. I read it yesterday. I don't like watching shows that end on cliffhangers and stuff that never get resolved. I can't handle that.
Yeah, and this is where the utility of TikTok, for whatever it's worth, is for me, is in I would never have known about that show had I not seen a clip of it on TikTok. And there's probably 10 or 12 different series that I have binged on in the last year that have that I've only become aware of through brief clips that I've seen on TikTok that was like, hey, that looks really cool. And goddamn, it was.
Yeah. And I like it when I find old shows that I never saw that I can binge, because like Severance, waiting for the next episode of Severance sucks.
Yeah. Severance feels like it was out a long time ago, because
there were 3 years between season 1 and season 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that show is really I'm fully into it. It's really good. It's just really weird.
It is really weird.
It is weird on Matrix levels. But another one that
it's very well made, and it's
good. The another one that was like really old that I didn't get into until this past year was Yellowstone. That has been around and out forever, and there's a lot of reasons to dislike. I mean, Taylor Sheridan, first of all, is a piece of shit. He directs and owns that franchise, as well as 1812 and 19 or 8, whatever, the 2 prequels that came before that. But I got into that way late, and I got totally hooked on it. It was so good. It was so good. And again, I never would have discovered these things were it not for TikTok. That's TikTok's utility to me.
Yeah, I never did get into that. Right now, I'm rewatching Fringe. I've watched that twice.
Oh my God!
I'm watching the 3rd time. I like Fringe.
Oh, it's so good. Fringe, the female lead, the red haired girl. What's her name? Oh, I can't think of her name. You know,
Olivia is her character.
Olivia, the actress that plays Olivia. She was the character actor for the PlayStation game Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword was the first game I bought for the PS3. Heavenly Sword is a great game, but she did all the mocap for the female character in Heavenly Sword. If you haven't played that game, play it. It's so fucking good.
All right, well then maybe that's what I'll do. I can get that. I got a PS3.
It was one of the early games that fully used the gyros in the DualShock controller for the PS3, because at some point you're using the gyros to guide a crossbow arrow through the air, and it's really cool. It's a great game.
Well, James, if we're still here next week, we'll be back with another edition of What the Fuck Did Trump Do Now? And did anyone respond yet?
Yeah, that should be the central theme of the upcoming podcast, of what is being done to substantially try to take this process out at the knees. Because if all we're doing is just recapping the shit that is being destroyed in front of us without some pressure for systems and people to get out there and sabotage this and break this process, then we're doing a disservice.
So this week's assignment, if you're a labor union or you're a member of a labor union, talk to your leadership. This week, you need to organize and perform a national strike. We need to do that.
Yep.
That's what we do this week.
And if you work or have some connection to any of these systems that the executive branch is now commandeering control of, if you work in those systems, sabotage them. Do something to sabotage those systems so that they are less useful to the mission of this horrible direction that we're going. Break the fucking system.
And that being said, we'll be back next week, probably.
Probably.
Thanks for
Well,
listening.
have a good week. Where's my cursor? Stop recording. What?